The roar of helicopter blades sliced through the air as Alexandra Greene's eyes widened in disbelief. "I never thought he could actually fly it," she whispered, watching the aircraft perform a perfect figure eight above her company's headquarters. The same man she'd mocked just weeks ago, the quiet janitor who cleaned her executive suite, was now commanding a multi-million-dollar helicopter with the skill of a military veteran. And she had foolishly promised to marry him if he could do it. If you're enjoying this incredible story of hidden identities and second chances, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring real-life tales that will warm your heart and change your perspective. Alexandra's journey to this moment began 3 months earlier on a particularly stressful Monday morning. As the 35-year-old CEO of Greene Technologies, she had built her empire from scratch, transforming a small tech startup into a Fortune 500 company in just 8 years. The business world called her the Iron Lady of Silicon Valley, brilliant but ruthless, successful but lonely. Few knew the pressure she carried on her shoulders, the constant fear of failure that drove her relentless pursuit of perfection. That morning, Alexandra had arrived at her office earlier than usual, her mind racing with concerns about the company's newest project, a revolutionary aviation software system that promised to transform helicopter navigation forever. The board meeting later that day would determine whether the project moved forward or was scrapped entirely. Millions of dollars and dozens of jobs hung in the balance. As she paced her office rehearsing her presentation, she nearly tripped over a mop bucket in the middle of the floor. "What the?" she began, stopping when she noticed the older man quietly cleaning in the corner. He appeared to be in his 50s, with salt and pepper hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. The janitor's uniform hung loosely on his frame, but there was an unmistakable dignity in his posture. "I'm sorry, Ms. Greene," he said, his voice surprisingly gentle for a man his size. "I didn't expect anyone for another hour. I'll get out of your way." On any other day, Alexandra might have nodded and continued with her work. But the stress of the upcoming meeting combined with her third cup of coffee created a perfect storm of irritability. "This office needs to be immaculate when investors visit. That's your job, isn't it? To make sure everything is spotless?" The man nodded without a hint of offense. "Yes, ma'am. I take pride in my work." Something about his calm demeanor only irritated Alexandra further. She glanced at his employee badge. "Well, Michael, pride doesn't clean coffee stains or empty trash cans. I need competence, not pride." Michael smiled slightly. "You're right. Sometimes actions speak louder than words." There was something in his tone, not insubordination exactly, but a quiet confidence that seemed out of place in a janitor. Alexandra felt a twinge of shame at her outburst, but before she could say anything else, her phone rang with an urgent call from her chief financial officer. Over the next few weeks, Alexandra found herself noticing Michael more often. Unlike other staff members who scurried away when she approached, he maintained a calm presence, always greeting her with a nod and a simple, "Good morning, Ms. Greene." Sometimes she caught him looking at the aviation models displayed in her office with more than passing interest. The helicopter software project moved forward, but problems emerged during the testing phase. Alexandra found herself working later each night, often alone in the building except for the evening cleaning staff. One night, as she stared frustrated at technical specifications that seemed to blur before her eyes, she heard Michael's voice from the doorway. "Helicopter navigation systems are tricky," he said. "Especially when you're accounting for crosswinds and variable altitude adjustments." Alexandra looked up, surprised both by his presence and his comment. "And what would you know about helicopter navigation systems?" Michael shrugged. "Just an observation. Sometimes the simplest solutions are hidden in plain sight." His presumption irritated her. The board was breathing down her neck, investors were getting nervous, and now the janitor was offering aviation advice? "Right," she said sarcastically. "I suppose next you'll tell me you could fly one of these yourself?" Something flickered in Michael's eyes, a mixture of amusement and perhaps a hint of challenge. "Everyone has hidden talents, Ms. Greene. Perhaps it was stress, perhaps it was the absurdity of the moment, but Alexandra found herself saying words she would never normally speak. Tell you what, Michael. If you can fly a helicopter, actually pilot one yourself, I'll marry you on the spot. The ridiculous proposal hung in the air between them. A flash of something unreadable crossed Michael's face before he smiled. Careful with those kinds of promises, Ms. Greene. You never know when someone might take you up on them. The next day, Alexandra barely remembered the exchange. The software project consumed her every waking hour, and her interaction with the janitor faded into the background of more pressing concerns. But Michael didn't forget. 2 weeks later, Alexandra was hosting potential investors for a demonstration of the helicopter software. The group stood on the company's rooftop helipad where a sleek corporate helicopter waited. The pilot, a man Greene Technologies had hired at great expense, was unexpectedly delayed in traffic. As Alexandra tried to stall and keep the investors engaged, an uncomfortable realization dawned on her: without a demonstration, the deal would collapse. Years of work and millions in development costs would be wasted. Her company's future hung in the balance. "Perhaps I could help," came a familiar voice from behind her. Alexandra turned to see Michael, but not in his usual janitor's uniform. Instead, he wore neatly pressed slacks and a button-down shirt. The transformation was striking. "This isn't the time," Alexandra hissed, turning back to the increasingly impatient investors. "I can fly it," Michael said simply, nodding toward the helicopter. Alexandra stared at him in disbelief. "This isn't a joke. That's a $3.5 million aircraft." "I'm not joking," Michael replied, his eyes serious. "I can fly it and demonstrate your software system. Right now." One of the investors checked his watch. "Ms. Greene, if we can't see this system in action today, I'm afraid we'll have to reconsider our position." Desperation made the decision for her. "Fine," she whispered to Michael. "But if you damage that helicopter, you're not just fired, you're finished." What happened next left Alexandra and everyone present speechless. Michael approached the helicopter with the confidence of someone who had flown thousands of hours. His pre-flight check was methodical and professional. When he started the engine and lifted the aircraft off the helipad, his movements were smooth and precise, nothing like a novice or amateur. For 15 minutes, Michael put the helicopter through maneuvers that showcased both his exceptional piloting skills and the capabilities of Greene Technologies' navigation software. The investors watched in amazement as he demonstrated features that even their hired pilot had struggled to showcase effectively. When Michael landed and stepped out of the cockpit, the lead investor immediately approached Alexandra. "Impressive pilot you've got there. The software is exactly what we've been looking for. Let's talk numbers." As the investors moved toward the conference room, Alexandra remained rooted to the spot, staring at Michael. "Who are you?" she asked when they were alone. "Really?" Michael smiled. "Just the janitor, Ms. Greene. Though I believe you made me a rather interesting promise if I could fly a helicopter." Alexandra's cheeks flushed. "You can't possibly expect me to." "Relax," Michael interrupted with a chuckle. "I don't expect you to marry me. But I would like to talk to you about your software. There are improvements that could make it revolutionary beyond what you've imagined." That evening, in Alexandra's office, Michael finally revealed his true identity. He wasn't just a janitor, he was Michael Reeves, former Special Forces helicopter pilot and later chief engineer at a major defense contractor. A man who had designed helicopter systems for the military before walking away from it all after a personal tragedy. "My wife and son died in a helicopter crash 5 years ago," he explained quietly. "Equipment failure. I couldn't save them, but I could dedicate myself to making sure it never happened to anyone else. I've been developing navigation safety systems ever since, working independently." "But why work as a janitor here?" Alexandra asked, still trying to process everything. Your company was doing the most innovative work in the field. I wanted to see it up close, understand if you were on the right track before approaching you formally. I didn't expect to stay in the janitor role this long, but I learned so much watching your team work. And then. He hesitated. And then? I saw how passionate you were about saving lives, not just making profits. That mattered to me. In the weeks that followed, Michael joined Greene Technologies officially as their chief aviation consultant. His expertise elevated their software from excellent to revolutionary. Working closely together, Alexandra discovered a depth to Michael she had never expected, his brilliance matched only by his humility and quiet strength. 6 months later, the helicopter navigation system received federal approval, with safety ratings that exceeded all expectations. At the company celebration, Alexandra found Michael alone on the balcony, looking up at the stars. "We did it," she said, standing beside him. "You did it," he corrected. "This was always your vision. I just helped refine it." Alexandra turned to face him. "I was wrong about you. About many things. We all make judgments based on incomplete information," Michael replied. "It's what we do after we know better that defines us. About that promise I made." Alexandra began, surprising herself with the direction of her thoughts. Michael laughed, the sound warm in the night air. "I think we can agree that was just workplace banter taken too far. What if it wasn't?" The words escaped before Alexandra could reconsider them. "Not the marriage part, obviously. But what if there could be something between us beyond work?" Michael studied her face for a long moment. "I'd say that's a flight path worth exploring." Their first date was nothing like Alexandra had experienced before, not a fancy restaurant or exclusive club, but a small airfield where Michael taught her the basics of flying. As the small plane rose into the clouds under her novice control, Alexandra felt something she hadn't experienced in years, pure, unadulterated joy. Their relationship developed slowly, built on mutual respect and shared passion. Alexandra, who had always kept people at arm's length, found herself opening up about her own past, her parents' early deaths, the struggle to prove herself in a male-dominated industry, the loneliness that came with success. A year after that fateful helicopter demonstration, Michael proposed, not with an ultimatum about aircraft piloting, but with a simple question asked while they watched the sunrise from a mountain overlook. Alexandra's yes came without hesitation. Their wedding was intimate, attended by close friends and Greene Technologies employees, including the cleaning staff, who Michael had always treated as equals even after his promotion. Alexandra's vows included a line that made everyone laugh: "I'm marrying you not because you can fly a helicopter, but because you helped me learn how to soar." The couple's combined expertise made Greene Technologies a leader in aviation safety systems worldwide. More importantly, they created a company culture that valued every employee, recognizing that brilliance and contribution could come from anywhere, even from the person quietly cleaning the floors after everyone else had gone home. And now, 5 years after their first meeting, Alexandra watches her husband piloting their private helicopter, demonstrating new safety features to their daughter who waves excitedly from Alexandra's arms. The journey from that stress-filled morning to this moment of contentment had been unexpected but perfect in its own way. As Michael lands the helicopter and joins his family, Alexandra reflects on how a moment of arrogance and a ridiculous challenge had somehow led to the greatest happiness of her life. Sometimes the most important people enter our lives disguised as those we least expect to matter. And sometimes, the people we dismiss most easily are the very ones who can teach us how to fly. If this story touched your heart, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring more inspirational stories of unexpected connections and second chances that remind us all to look beyond appearances and find the extraordinary in the ordinary. Remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about, and sometimes the janitor might just be the hero you never knew you needed.